transports. "Ma'am, even with full power, our cannon won't penetrate their flagship shields," Ramirez protested. "We're not aiming for the flagship," Elena replied, inputting coordinates into her console. "Target their primary command destroyer, the one with the pattern-matching analysis systems. Without it, they'll be operating partially blind for at least a few hours." Understanding dawned on Ramirez's face. Buying time for Protocol Lazarus. Elena nodded once. "Every minute counts now. Reactor status. Critical. 7 minutes to overload. Perfect. That gives us just enough time." Elena opened the station-wide communication channel. "All personnel, this is Commander Shaw. Aegis 7 has served Earth proudly, and so have all of you. Evacuation protocols are now in effect. All non-essential crew, proceed to escape pods immediately." She waited as her crew made their decisions. Some ran for the pods as ordered, but many, including her bridge officers, remained at their posts. Elena had expected nothing less. "It has been an honor serving with you all," she said simply. The next 5 minutes passed in focused activity as they prepared the station's main cannon for its final shot. Outside, the escape pods jettisoned away from the doomed platform, tiny sparks of hope racing toward the Earth's atmosphere. "Target locked," Ramirez reported. "Cannon charged to 130% capacity. Firing solution complete." "Fire," Elena ordered. Aegis 7 shuddered as its main cannon unleashed a blinding beam of concentrated energy. On the tactical display, they watched as the beam struck the Vraxian command destroyer. For a moment, the alien vessel's shields held, then collapsed as the beam burned through, splitting the ship into molten fragments. Alarms blared across the command deck as the reactor's overload accelerated. 1 minute to detonation, the computer announced calmly. Elena sat in her command chair, watching as the Vraxian fleet reoriented itself, momentarily confused by the loss of their command vessel. It wouldn't take them long to reorganize, but every minute of chaos might make a difference. "Do you think it will work?" Ramirez asked quietly, taking his station beside her. "Lazarus." Elena stared at the approaching Vraxian vessels. "It has to. We've sacrificed too much for it to fail." As Aegis 7's reactor reached critical mass, Elena closed her eyes. In her mind, she pictured the secret facility deep beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, where 100,000 of humanity's finest soldiers slept in cryogenic suspension, their bodies enhanced with experimental biotechnology that had been deemed too dangerous for widespread use. Alongside them rested the autonomous manufacturing systems and advanced weapons prototypes that conventional military leaders had considered too unproven for the defense of Earth. All of it waiting, hibernating, ready to awaken when the Lazarus signal arrived. 30 seconds to detonation, the computer announced. "Even if they defeat us today," Elena murmured, "this isn't the end." The Vraxian ships grew larger in the view screen as they approached the failing station, eager to capture whatever secrets it might hold. They would find none. As Aegis 7's reactor overloaded, the resulting explosion vaporized the platform and 3 nearby Vraxian vessels. The light of the detonation was visible from Earth's surface, a final defiant star flaring against the darkness. Deep beneath Antarctica's ice, a signal was received. Systems that had lain dormant for years began to warm up. Cryogenic pods initiated their awakening sequences. Lazarus had begun. The awakening, darkness, then pain, the searing agony of frozen cells coming back to life, of blood beginning to flow through veins that had been still for far too long. Major Dominic Reed gasped as consciousness returned, his enhanced lungs drawing in recycled air with desperate urgency. His vision swam, blurry shapes gradually resolving into the curved, transparent surface of his cryogenic pod as it completed its opening sequence. "Vital signs stabilizing," announced a calm, synthetic voice. "Neural pathways reconnecting. Welcome back, Major Reed." Dominic blinked rapidly, his genetically modified eyes adjusting to the dim blue emergency lighting that illuminated the vast chamber. All around him, hundreds of identical pods were activated, their occupants stirring to life after their long sleep. Through the disorientation of revival, a single question formed in his mind. How long? He rasped, his vocal cords stiff from disuse. You have been in cryogenic suspension for 7 years, 3 months, and 17 days. The facility's air responded. Lazarus Protocol was activated via emergency channel 48 hours ago. 7 years. Much shorter than the decades they had prepared for, but still long enough for the world above to have fallen to the Phyrexians. Dominic forced his enhanced muscles to respond, pushing himself upright in the pod. The movement sent fresh waves of pain through his body, but he welcomed it. Pain meant he was alive. Status of the facility, he asked, climbing unsteadily out of the pod. Facility is at optimal operational capacity, the AI reported. All primary systems functional. Manufacturing units active. Armory unlocked. Tactical data integration in progress. Dominic nodded, watching as his fellow soldiers emerged from their pods. Each had been selected from the elite units of Earth's military forces, then subjected to the controversial Prometheus enhancement program. Their bodies had been rebuilt on a cellular level, stronger bones reinforced with carbon nanotubes, muscles enhanced with synthetic protein structures, neural systems accelerated with quantum bioprocessors. They were no longer merely human. They were what humanity needed to become to survive. Major Reed called a familiar voice. Dominic turned to see Colonel Isabel Chen approaching, already dressed in the base layer of her combat suit. Like all of them, her body showed the subtle signs of the Prometheus enhancements, slightly elongated limbs, the faint iridescent sheen to her skin, where nanite clusters gathered beneath the surface. Colonel, Dominic acknowledged with a nod. What's the situation topside? Not good, Chen replied grimly. The AI is still compiling data from the limited sensor network that survived, but it appears Earth is fully under Phyrexian control. The last organized military resistance ended 6 years ago. 6 years of occupation. 6 years for the Phyrexians to establish themselves, to grow complacent in their victory. And the civilian population? Dominic asked, though he feared the answer. Chen's expression darkened. Approximately 30% of the pre-war population remains. The rest were either killed in the initial invasion or processed. Processed. Dominic repeated, a cold dread settling in his stomach. The Phyrexians have been converting human cities into resource extraction centers, Chen explained. Humans are being used as labor. Those deemed unsuitable are recycled for their organic compounds. Anger flared hot in Dominic's chest. Not the uncontrolled rage of his pre-enhanced self, but a focused, calculating fury that his modified brain channeled into tactical thought. How many of us woke up? 97% successful revival rate, the AI interjected. 93,212 combat-ready personnel. And our equipment. In answer, the wall behind Chen slid open, revealing an armory filled with matte black combat suits, unlike any conventional military armor, designed specifically for the enhanced soldiers. Each suit was a marvel of integrated technology. A second skin of molecular-aligned carbon fiber and reactive polymers, embedded with sensor arrays and neural interfaces. The Phantom suits are ready, Chen said, as are the weapons systems. The manufacturing units have been running since the Lazarus signal arrived. Dominic approached the nearest suit, running his hand over its surface. The material responded to his touch, warming slightly. These suits had been theoretical when he entered cryosleep, the product of frantic research by Earth's brightest minds as the Phyrexian fleet approached the outer colonies. And the Vanguard Protocol? He asked quietly. Chen's eyes met his. Confirmed active. We're receiving encrypted communications from 23 sleeper cells across the globe. They've been preparing for our awakening. Dominic nodded slowly. The Vanguard Protocol had been the most audacious aspect of humanity's final defense strategy, placing deep cover operatives among the surviving human population, people who would appear to accept Vraxian rule while secretly monitoring enemy patterns and establishing underground networks of resistance. Time to wake the beast. Then, Dominic said, reaching for his combat suit. Over the next 12 hours, the facility hummed with purposeful activity as 93,000 enhanced soldiers prepared for war. The phantom suits were calibrated to each individual's unique biology. Weapons were distributed, and tactical briefings were conducted using the limited intelligence gathered from the surface. In the command center, Dominic studied holographic projections of Earth's current state. The Vraxians had established major control centers in what had once been Earth's largest cities, connected by transit corridors that cut across the landscape like crystal veins. Their architecture was alien and angular, structures of grown crystal and metal rising from the ruins of human civilization. They think they're secure, Dominic observed. 7 years without significant resistance has made them complacent. That's our advantage, Chen agreed. According to Vanguard intelligence, they've reduced their military presence by almost 60%, reassigning ships and troops to other conquests. Dominic gestured to a glowing point on the projection, a massive crystalline structure that had been built atop the ruins of what had once been Singapore. Their primary command hub. Yes, Chen confirmed. All administrative functions for Earth operations are coordinated from there. They've consolidated control to minimize resource expenditure. Classic occupation strategy, Dominic murmured. Centralized command. Establish clear supply lines. Maintain just enough military presence to crush any resistance. His enhanced mind processed the tactical implications rapidly. They've created their own vulnerability. He turned to face the gathered command staff, all enhanced like himself, all awakened from the same long sleep. The Vraxians believe they defeated humanity, he said, his voice carrying across the room. They believe we broke under their superior technology and numbers. What they don't understand is that everything they've seen, every battle, every last stand, every desperate defense, was just the first phase of our strategy. Dominic pointed to the holographic display. Humanity didn't lose the war 7 years ago. We just changed our tactics. And now we show them what we've become. The attack plan took shape rapidly. Unlike the defensive war that Earth's conventional forces had fought, this would be a campaign of swift strikes and strategic sabotage. The enhanced soldiers, operating in small teams with their advanced phantom suits and weapons, would emerge from hidden access points across the globe, targeting Vraxian communication nodes and supply depots. We don't have the numbers for a direct confrontation, Dominic explained, but we don't need them. We just need to create enough chaos to activate the next phase of Lazarus. As the final preparations were made, Dominic stood before the assembled soldiers in the facility's central chamber, looking out at their faces, all altered by the same enhancements that had changed him, all bearing the same resolute expression. He felt the weight of history pressing down upon them. You all know why we're here, he began. We volunteered for the Prometheus program, knowing we might wake to a world already lost. That time has come. Outside these walls, our species has been conquered, our cities occupied, our people enslaved or worse. He paused, letting his gaze move across the assembled troops. But humanity is not defeated. Not while we stand. Not while we remember. The Vraxians believe they conquered Earth and broke humanity's spirit. They're about to learn how wrong they are. A low rumble of agreement passed through the crowd. Each of you has been enhanced beyond what any human soldier has ever been, Dominic continued. Each of you has been trained to use abilities that our ancestors would have considered superhuman. We are no longer just the defenders of humanity. We are its evolution, its response to an existential threat. He raised his fist. Today, we begin the real war, not for territory, not for resources, but for the very future of our species. The Vraxians thought they were facing a primitive civilization making its last stand. Instead, they've awakened something they cannot possibly understand. As he finished speaking, the facility's lights shifted from emergency blue to full operational white, illuminating the vast chamber and the thousands of enhanced soldiers who filled it. Humanity's hidden army, preparing to rise from the darkness. Operation Resurrection begins in 6 hours, Dominic announced. Get ready. Counter-offensive. The Vraxian Security Patrol moved through the ruins of what had once been downtown Seattle with practiced indifference. 7 years of occupation had established a routine. Check the human labor dormitories, inspect the resource processing centers, maintain visibility to discourage any thoughts of resistance. The 4 crystalline aliens, their exoskeletons gleaming in the morning light, expected nothing out of the ordinary. They never saw the attack coming. From the shadows of a collapsed office building, 4 figures in matte black phantom suits moved with impossible speed. The first Vraxian fell before it could reach for its weapon, its crystalline neck severed by a vibroblade that hummed just beyond human hearing. The second managed to turn, raising its plasma rifle before a precision shot from a Gauss pistol shattered its central nervous cluster. The third and fourth Vraxians activated their emergency beacons, but the signals died in a burst of electronic static as localized EMP devices attached to their communication nodes. Within 12 seconds, all 4 aliens lay dead on a cracked pavement. Strike Team Alpha, first objective complete. Sergeant Maya Torres reported through her suit's secure communication system. No alarm raised. Moving to Phase 2. Across the globe, similar scenes played out in synchronized precision. Enhanced human soldiers emerged from hidden bunkers, sewer systems, and abandoned subway tunnels, striking at Vraxian patrols and communication hubs. The attacks were not random, but followed a carefully constructed pattern designed by the tactical AIs in the Antarctic facility. Each strike calculated to create maximum